Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Kenyan Gooners Podcast with me, Omar Bashir and Ahmad Wanafa. Ahmad, very good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Omar. What a long time it's been since we last recorded.
It really has. There have been some changes. People have noticed we have a new logo. You
Mhm.
probably wouldn't have had this, but we do have a new intro. I'm so excited about it. I
I
really
can't
like
wait to
it.
hear that.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So it'll be playing before I think the listeners would have listened to it, but you'll just have to wait for it. How have you been? How have you been? How's everything been so far since
Yeah,
the last time we
it's
recorded?
it's been, I think, really good. Alhamdulillah. A lot of changes. I think the reason we stopped recording could be mostly uh, due to me. For the listeners, I think I had my exams, which I had to really focus on, and I passed. So thank God for that. And then there've been a lot of changes also here personally, and yeah, I think that's mainly why we stopped. But I think we should be good to go now. So that's exciting. What about you?
I have I have been busy as well. I actually wasn't expecting that question. I've been busy as well, mostly work, I guess. Nothing much else happening elsewhere. But look, we're here and we should be grateful for that and get right into it because we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. Um,
Yes, we do.
I mean, Arsenal right now in a very good space. I think. I feel last couple of games. I think 4 points out. I mean, last 4 games, 10 points out of 12. Really
Yeah.
good stretch of games. But it would be remiss of us not to talk about the first 3 games of the season. But I don't want to spend too
Mhm.
much time on it. So just going back to it, first 3 games: Brentford, Chelsea, Manchester City. 3 games, 3 losses, 9 goals conceded, none scored. I
No
mean,
goals scored.
at the point of the international break, the first international break, I mean, I know how you were feeling, but could you care to describe it to the listeners?
Yeah, I think I think we were just in an apathetic state, like just wondering what is happening to our football club because uh I think we did not expect much from the Chelsea and City games, but we did not expect to lose the way we did. I think there was no fight from the team. There was basically no show put up for the fans, and I think that was the main takeaway from that period. That it was worrying, but I think that was also around the time where the transfer window closed, and I I think was looking more towards the future, and I had seen that the progress in terms of the squad building had been sort of good. So I enjoyed that aspect of it, but I did not enjoy at the time what I was seeing on the pitch. I think that was I think everyone who was watching Arsenal at that moment in time was feeling quite
Hmm.
quite depressed.
Yeah, I mean, Brentford happened. There were a lot of
Mm,
mitigating factors as well. Aubameyang and Lacazette both tested for COVID-19. I think hours before the game, disrupted the plans. There was talk about cancelling the game. Of course, the Premier League didn't want that to happen, and I think we'll get a little bit of more explanation on that by Arsenal, possibly in the Amazon documentary. And it was just set up for us to lose. I feel that game, Brentford playing their first game at home in the Premier League, first game in their stadium as well, full of
mm.
fans. So I mean, it was a slam dunk really. And then you spoke against about the Chelsea and Man City game that we knew we were going to lose, a sense of apathy about the result. Do you think maybe that is also a problem of, or is just basically a realization of where we are at this moment in time?
Um, I think it's both those things. I don't want to say that we should be losing against those teams, even if they are the top teams right now, and we can recognize that they are the top teams right now. I don't think it's fair for a club like Arsenal to just say that, oh, we expected to lose against such teams. But that is the case. They are better than us at this moment in time, and we could recognize that. So I think it's just the manner of the loss as well, not just the loss. Had they put on a show, had they been some signs of uh, the guys on the pitch, showing that they are playing for the badge, I think it would have been better. And as well, losing 5-0 against City, I don't think that's good enough. Period. We definitely have to do better against those teams.
Yeah, I mean, I was also just in a point of realization of where we are. It is, as you said before, it was the manner of how those games went. Some question, of course, the tactics and what have you. And after that Man City game, there was real pressure on Arteta and Arsenal, and of course, bottom of the league at that point in time. And then doesn't help when Spurs were top of the league at that point in time. Arteta came back after the international break, the first press conference before the game against Norwich, and said it's the best, I don't know, 10, 12 days he's had in his career.
Mm,
Some people scoffed at
mm.
that, but I mean, people probably meant
You
that
can understand it.
he, I would say it was a point of consolidation for him with where, I mean, what the
Mhm.
club and what the players, how far they believe in what he's trying to do. And I feel he got a very good response in that. I thought as well, for me at least, it was a moment of introspection for him. I think we've seen quite a bit of him in the last 18 months or so, and it'd be fair to say that he's somebody who is stubborn, who would like, once he's set out a game plan, it's very difficult for him to change from it. But I think after that whole period, we've sort of seen an Arteta who is willing to change his plan in accordance to what is demanded on the pitch. And I felt that is something that he didn't have before that. What are your thoughts on that? Or am I just rambling here at this point in time?
No, no, I think I agree with you for the most part. Definitely, the first three games were a nightmare for any manager, I think, and the players as well. And I think they had a behind closed doors meeting with just the players. They had a meeting amongst themselves. And I think the manager as well, as he said, he had the best time in his career at that period. Yeah, you're definitely right. It's because of all the introspection, I guess. I think he talked to all his players. Putting yourself in his shoes, you'd be like, you'd want to ask the players, am I doing something wrong? Is it me? Or what can we do together? Like, how can we go about this? Do you still believe in what I'm trying to do? I mean, I think these are the kind of questions he would be asking, and if they backed him up, they were like, yeah, there's something that needs to change. Maybe it's us as well, as the players. Also, maybe you can do something a little bit differently, and his willingness to also take that up,
Mm-hmm.
because as you rightly said, I think we've seen a sort of change from him. He's become more, um I don't know if humble is the right word or something. I think he's become more enthused. He projects a bit more feeling now, even in his interviews. I think I think he's opened himself up more.
I
I
think
think he used to be quite robotic.
I think the most
Yeah.
important thing that has happened about him is that he sits down during the games. I think that is absolutely phenomenal.
Definitely, that was a big change.
I know.
And he celebrates goals now, like properly celebrates
Yeah, I
goals.
mean, wow. Really, really went into those.
Yeah.
Look, I think,
So, quite interesting, I think, the change that he's had to endure
mm,
personally.
mm.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, at that point in time, it was a bad phase. And then after international break, I think he was lucky, I suppose, that he had a good chunk of the squad who didn't go into the international break with the national teams. He had some players come back from injury, Gabriel, Aubameyang, and it
Mm.
just sort of gave him a chance to work with these players on the pitch for 10 days or so.
Yeah,
The
I
Norwich game,
think
mhm,
the most important bit of that international break was getting the squad together. I think because, as you rightly said, most of the players didn't go out, and the back line, especially, I think it was a new back line, and they had a chance to spend some time together, train together, and we got to see that in the Norwich game
yeah,
after
Norwich game
international.
ended 1-0, but really could have been 3 or 4 with the amount of chances that we create. I think it had 30 shots in the game. A
Mm.
very impressive cameo or debut from Tomiyasu, who was a player that I think most people are really warming to. A player who
Sorry about
I think
that.
signed I think 48 hours before that game, had one training session, and then boom, he's in the squad, he's in the starting 11, and had a really good game actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's been quite fantastic from the lad since he's come in. I think he's created such an atmosphere around him because it's mostly down to him just doing the basics right. You know, he does everything that you would want your fullback to do, and he does it well. I think it's just the fundamentals really. He tracks back. He does the simplest things and he does them well. I think that's why there's such an affinity toward him at this moment in time. He's a very humble and likable guy as well. I think he comes across that way in his interviews. Um, yeah, I think that was actually a really good underrated signing. I think many people were like kind of skeptical when we got him.
Mm.
Who is this guy? You know, what does he do? Why are we getting a guy we've never heard of? You know, everyone's I think these days about the blockbuster signing, and here he comes, and I think kind of keeps everybody quiet with his performances. You know, what can you say about a guy who does everything right? I mean, it's a fantastic signing so far.
Yeah, I mean, speaking about people keeping people quiet, let's talk about Aaron Ramsdale.
I knew it. I knew we were coming there.
I mean, this is a player who, I mean, let's face it, not a lot of people enthused about the links to him. People were not happy
Mm,
about the money that was being linked to him. They were saying, look, this guy's been
mm,
relegated not once, but twice. I mean, what
mm,
kind of goalkeeper are we kind of signing? And now, I mean, if anybody tells an Arsenal fan, about Aaron Ramsdale, a smile comes on the face. He's come in, he's changed the perception of him so quickly. I don't think I've seen that in a while, really. And he's endeared himself to the fans, not just by being himself, which I think is being part of it, but by giving out excellent performances on and on the pitch, exuding confidence
mm.
from himself, which is then translating to the rest of the back line. I mean, it's been really impressive stuff by Aaron Ramsdale so far.
Yeah, I think the main thing with him has been his personality. I mean, and it just translates onto the pitch as well. It's not just in his interviews. I think that's the biggest difference between him and Leno. And immediately you could see him play. I think you could just tell like there's a huge difference. I don't think he's a better shot stopper, although I might be proven wrong by a stat that I have somewhere here. But but I think it's his personality that makes a huge difference. You know, Leno I think came across as a bit of a quiet guy. He doesn't really talk to his backline. He just expects them to do the things they've been instructed to do. With Ramsdale, he's I think more take charge. There's a clear leadership of his backline. I think he uh, transmits an energy across his backline. Every tackle you see, every goal, every action basically that we do, right, he's right there with it. Pushing the team on, celebrating if it's a celebratory action.
Mm-hmm.
I really, I really like him, and I think I liked him the first game he played. I was like, wow, okay,
Yeah.
this guy's the real deal. Because to be fair, I hadn't watched much of him. It was just, I think, maybe the few games Sheffield would play Arsenal, or before that Bournemouth. I think he was in Bournemouth before that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
So
he was in
just
Bournemouth,
those
then
games.
Sheffield, yeah.
Yeah. So I think it was just those few games that you would maybe watch once in a while and see him, but you never really see him until he's in your team, right?
Mm. Mm.
And it's been fantastic from the guy. I think I've really ended up falling in love with the player.
Yeah, I mean, I just hope that he's going to be an important and a very good player for us in the future. I think there are shoots there for somebody who could become an important and valuable member of the team in the next couple of years. And I just hope that he stays fit and continues to grow with us, because I feel at 23, he can definitely become better. And that's all basically that you want from your players.
Definitely.
I mean, we're talking about signings. We might as well just touch into them briefly. I mean, we signed, I don't know, 87 players this season. Just the six, really. I mean, not too many. We've spoken about
Quite a
two.
shift from the previous seasons.
I know, yes.
Here we go. Here we go. Just a second.
Mhm,
Best save percentage so far in Europe's top 5 leagues.
mhm.
Guess who's at the top?
I don't
Aaron
know.
Ramsdale with a 90% save percentage. So
Really? That's this
yeah,
season.
yeah,
Oh,
this is. He's
well, I
only
mean,
conceded one
he's
goal,
only
to be
conceded
fair.
one
So
goal. So, I mean, if it was less, that would have been a
yeah,
problem. But there you go.
yeah,
I mean, it's not fair as well. I mean, Leno has played against Man City, so, and he conceded 5 goals. I think
yeah.
probably just one was his fault, I guess. But at this point in time, I think everybody's on the Aaron Ramsdale boat. So,
Hmm.
yeah, that's where we
I
are
think
at that point in time.
you were
Signings.
talking about the other signings.
Yes, we were talking. I mean, we had discussed to Tomiyasu and Aaron Ramsdale. There's the big money signing, Ben White. What have you made of him so far?
So far, I think he's had a little time to bed in. I like the player. I like what he does. I think he's had some shaky bits, which are, I think, to be expected. He had that one big scare against, I think it was the game against Burnley, but I think everyone didn't have a good time. I think there was a problem with the pitch, and he did this back pass and
Hmm.
almost caused a penalty scare.
Yeah.
But I think aside from that, he's had quite a good season actually. I think he kept Kane at bay when we played the Scum, and he did well also. I think he tried to do as well as he could against what's this team that we were playing the other day? Uh,
It
Brighton.
says here
Brighton.
Brighton and Hove Albion.
Yeah, that's the one. Sorry, it took me a second, but yeah, that's he also did quite well against the team,
Mm.
and I think he's had a little time to bed in. I think he's had a better partner in Gabriel
Hmm.
than he did against Pablo Marie. So I've been liking what I've been seeing from Ben White. What do you think of it?
What I've really liked about him, I think when we were signing him, there was talk about, I mean, he's a great passer, he's a carrier of the ball, he can carry 20, 30 yards, he can pass the ball, long distance passing. what I've been impressed by him the most is his defending, actually, because I think Arteta said it once, first things first, you are a defender and you need to keep the ball out of the net. And his defending has been really good. And I think it's gone a little bit under the radar because I think people are looking for him to create, and he hasn't really done that. But what he has done very well is defending. And it's so, as I said, it's gone under the radar. I mean, people are looking at Gabriel because I think Gabriel as well has had a very good start to the season. But I think Ben White has defended pretty well the last month, I would say. So I think that has impressed me the most. And I think it's something that a lot of people said they had a lot of questions about him, is his defending, his heading, and he's been doing that well so far. So once I think he clicks into gear about the things we know he can do, I think he'll become even better. So positive signs.
Yeah. The heading as well. I think that's the most that's the one people talked about most.
Yeah.
He's a very poor head of the ball, and surprisingly, he's been winning so much. I think he's got like a 60 something percent win rate in his headers. So
I mean, he's got nothing on Tomiyasu.
Tomiyasu has like a 90% win rate, so the guy's a different level. But I think he's done quite well. Aside, he had a few tough games. I think he got bullied by Lukaku in the games.
Did he play that game though?
Didn't he?
He played against Brentford.
No, he didn't.
Then he got COVID.
Oh, I mean, he got bullied by Ivan Toney.
I don't think so. That's the thing for me.
First game.
I mean, look, people say he got bullied by Ivan Toney. I don't think he was that bad, because first of all, Ivan Toney will bully everybody in the Premier League because up to this point in time, because I watch a bit of Brentford games, nobody has been able to handle him, right? And he had 7 duels, Ben White, in the game. He won 4. He won 3, and Ivan Toney won 4. So it wasn't like, oh my God, he's losing everything. Yeah. He can't chase him. I think it was magnified because it's his first game, look at him, and then he didn't really do as well as people thought he would, and then it was just magnified by the loss. I just felt, I didn't think he was that bad, honestly. I didn't see it. He didn't have a good game, but I don't buy people saying that he was bullied. I don't think he was. I just think Ivan Toney was better, but being bullied is like Senderos Drogba or something like that. But I didn't feel it was anything close to that, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's fair.
I know. I thought I had to get that off my chest.
Fair,
I mean, yes, let's talk about the North London derby, because I think that deserves its own space. I mean, first of all, I think I'm sorry, I'm getting something here. It's telling me Tottenham get battered everywhere they go. Do you think that's correct, or?
I do think that Tottenham get battered everywhere they go.
Everywhere they go?
Tottenham get battered. Yeah, everywhere they go.
Oh wow! I mean, what a day! What a day!
That was a fantastic game, a fantastic result. They couldn't get anywhere near us on the pitch. It was just lovely to see.
I mean, before the game,
guys who are title contenders.
Yeah, mind you. I mean, Nuno won Manager of the Month in August. I don't know if that's ominous because Arteta won Man of the Match this month, but fingers crossed, toes crossed, and everything. But it was absolutely shocking, their dismal collapse, really. And
it was fantastic to see.
Funny thing, I was so nervous. I mean, in all London derbies. I mean, one thing I like to say,
anything might happen.
One thing I like to say about derbies is that I absolutely hate those games. The whole day you're stressed, your stomach is in knots, you're watching the game at the edge of your seat, and you only get to celebrate if you win at the end of the game. So for this one to like be half an hour in, you're 3-0 up, sun's shining, Tottenham can't get anything on the ball. I mean, you sort of like relaxed a bit and you're like, yeah, this is nice. Why can't we do this all the time? It was absolutely fantastic. As you said, they couldn't get anywhere near us. I mean, Kane was just awful, which just makes everything so much better. It was just a great day. It really was.
Yeah. I think what more can you say? It was just a fantastic performance from the lads. The goals, everything just fell into place. Everything in terms of the movement of the players, Odegaard running things. I don't think Odegaard got enough plaudits for his game. I think he was quite underrated in that game. He played so well. Smith Rowe with his goal, Aubameyang, Saka. I think everyone just clicked. I think they understood the assignment to quote unquote the meme, the current meme. But yeah, I think the defense.
Well, we seem to have lost Ahmed. Let's see if we can get him back though. Well, I found Ahmed. He had gone to seeing Tottenham get battered everywhere we go. So, I mean, that's a fair thing to do if you're going to disappear like that. So, I mean, what we're talking about even. Look,
I think
Tottenham are
just
shit.
asking.
I think we can just say that, I think. And that would really basically sum that up.
Yeah, I think that's what we think of them, and that's what we think of shit as well. So
yeah, it's quite an astounding thing, actually.
yeah.
Well, we ended that period against Brighton. I mean, Brighton was a difficult game altogether. Not the best of performances, I think everybody will agree. But I think what I took comfort from, and I think it's something also wanted to discuss, is that we as Arsenal fans have a little bit of recalibration to do about ourselves and where we are. I think I have more or less come to accept that this is not going to take, a couple of weeks to get, sorted. With a young team like this, there are going to be ups and downs. We are going to get something like the North London derby. We're going to get something like what happened against Brighton. The thing that I really liked about it, I don't know, like is such a strong word, but what impressed me most about it is that we in last season we're losing that game, right? Last season we're totally losing the game, 2-3-1 sort of performance, because I mean, let's not forget we lost 13 games last season. 13, that's a lot. And I can remember like 3 or 4 where games like this where we actually lost. Like the most impressive thing that we didn't play well. We were definitely second best, but we managed not to lose. And I think that's a building block for me, a building block to maybe now in future we cannot play well and win. But I think you have to start from somewhere. Defensively, we were okay. Offensively, there was just problems. To be fair, Brighton had a game plan and they played very well, especially in the first half. But for me, I think defensively, I think we were very good. And that's for me more, growing signs, growing shoots in the team.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on this, on that much. With the regards to the Brighton game coming, and I think there's something that is quite funny about us Arsenal fans. we tend to have a look at the team, and then we'll say, "Oh, this is a young team. It's it's going to take some time before everything gels together, and we're going to have some growing pains, as you've said, there are going to be some ups and downs. That's what we look at. But then we see the Spurs game, and you're like, oh, everything is everything is
Everything is
good,
awesome.
everything is great, yeah, everything is awesome. Exactly. And we tend to kind of forget that the growing pains are still there, the inconsistencies will still come out. And you're right, the fact that we didn't lose the match, and given that we were second best, I believe, and Brighton have actually been quite good so far this season. So I think it's fair to say that we do forget ourselves as Arsenal fans, and we want there to be things that have not been there. Like we are expecting every game to be the Spurs game, which is not possible. Um, I think it's fair to say that it was a good result given what's going on. I think. Brighton have been a good side. I think they've been. What position are they in the lead in the table right now?
It should be top 6 if I'm not wrong. I mean, there
Yeah,
was
yeah,
times they could win, they would
exactly.
have gone top. They had really good
Yeah,
starts this season, basically.
yeah, exactly. So given that we've not lost, I think we can't compare it to the same Brighton that was there last season. Last season they were struggling quite a bit, and we shouldn't look at it in those terms. We should look at it in the sense that this is a growing Arsenal team. I think there's a solid foundation now. That there's a good core. The back line is quite impressive, and with all that in mind, I think it's fair to say that it's not a good result. It's a decent. It's a result we can accept the way things are right now.
Yeah, I mean, from where we were in the beginning to where we are now, I think we can
Mhm.
slowly see ourselves growing into the game in the season. So that's good in itself. Uh, I don't know. Is there anything else you want to discuss? I want to leave it there for part one.
No, I think we've covered most of the. I think we've covered all the games that we've played. Um, yeah, I think that's fair. We
All
can
right.
stop here.
Then let's leave it there for part one. We'll back with part two after this new interlude, which I really like as well. After this. Welcome back to part two of the Kenyan Gooners Podcast. You can follow us on our various social media sites on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Of course, give us a follow on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I actually thought I'd forget that. So that's really nice. It's implanted
You're
in my
doing well.
brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm rambling. I'm rambling. Let's get into the questions. Let's get into the questions from our listeners. We thank you once again for sending in. And there's one question here. I mean, we've been talking about something so good. So it says, "What is it about Arsenal that makes you stay, even through all the heartache?" Wow, what a question to get to in the
Wow.
morning, huh? I've not even had breakfast.
What a question. Neither have I. I mean, we just woke up to record this thing.
Yes.
uh, that's a good question. Why not? I mean, it's our team. It's a part of us. Why should we leave something that's yes, it's given us heartache, but it's also given us a lot of joy down the line. It's what brought us together. I mean, like it's everything basically. It's a way of life. It's I don't know. It's just something. How do I put it?
I mean, Dennis Bergkamp said, you don't choose the club you support, you just find yourself there. And I think
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
basically, that's the best way I can describe uh,
Mm,
not just anybody supporting Arsenal, but anybody supporting any club that they support. So, yeah.
yeah, we found ourselves here, and we found ourselves a little community as well.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think it's all a part of that. So we really, I don't think we're going to leave. We could be relegated, and we'd still find ourselves there. I mean, that's the level of.
I mean, the good thing is that DSTV shows the championship. So, I mean, we won't
Yes,
have problems streaming the games. I
exactly.
think going lower down might be a bit of a challenge. I mean, the tickets could be cheaper, so we could finally get to the Emirates. But touch wood and touch everything.
Yeah, yeah.
But look, we're happy to
We
be
are
here.
on our way back. Yeah, we're
Yes,
happy
we
to
are.
be here. We're on our way back, and
We are indeed. Where is the other question? Comes from Rashid underscore Dega. He said, how will you guys manage without Shaka's experience in the middle of the park for the next 3 months?
yeah, that's Shaka. A really interesting fellow, isn't he? When he plays, you want him to play well. I mean, he does play well in certain games. When he doesn't play, uh, I think we all wanted to move away from the guy,
Mm-hmm.
but we appreciate what he can do. He's really divisive in the way he conducts himself. I think we definitely will miss him the way the Arsenal team is set up right now. I think it leaves us in the middle of the park quite short in terms of numbers. I like the look of Lokonga, him and Partey together, but I think he offers something else, which is, I think, one of those intangibles that you only see when he's playing. I mean, you don't see when he's playing. I think you can tell after the fact, maybe, that he's quite important to the team. Um, yeah, I think we definitely will miss him the way we'll cope. We just have Lokonga in the meantime, or we can also shift to the 4-3-3 formation that Arteta was experimenting with
Mm.
Partey, Smith Rowe, and Odegaard
I,
as the midfield three.
I mean, you forget about El Neni.
Muhammad. Yeah,
I mean, I
I
love
did
Muhammad
forget
and
about
everything,
him.
but I'm really happy that I've not seen him on the pitch. Him and
Yeah.
Kolasinac and Marie over the last couple of weeks, which I think is important to. I think they symbolize where we've come from and
Mm,
what we're trying to get away from. Nothing against the players, of course, but
mm,
it's just that we need to evolve towards something better. And I think they're emblematic of where we were before. And not seeing them in the team is, it's unfair to say it's nice, but it's
yeah.
refreshing.
Yeah, it's definitely very refreshing. That's actually what I was about to say. Yeah, that's actually why I've he's sort of fallen out of my mind in a way, because
Mm,
I've appreciated that we've not been playing the players we don't need to. We play. I appreciate the fact that we can risk playing Lokonga over El Neni. He's not going with the safe option. We'd rather make our mistakes now with Lokonga, get him some game time, you know,
mm-hmm,
or make some mistakes with the 4-3-3, at least get some momentum going with that formation as well, get the team used to it.
mm-hmm,
I appreciate that as of right now. I think playing El Neni would be some sort of maybe desperate scenario. I
mm-hmm.
think is that's the only time I think we would accept playing such a player. What's
I
been
think,
interesting is he's also been playing Maitland Niles. What do you think about that?
yeah, I think, again, it goes back to that international break. We had a bit of introspection about where he is because it would have been so easy for him to put in El Neni in the lineup, but he's going with something different. He's going with fresh people, energetic, who can go up and down the pitch, Maitland Niles, Lokonga, who give something different, because we know what El Neni is. He's a known quantity, and we've had him in the team for years, and he's not really taken us where we want to be. So it would be madness to put him again and say, okay, he's going to change everything. So you might as well try something different. And I think it's him, Arteta, releasing the shackles a bit on what he wants from his team and experimenting on things that probably Arteta 3, 4, 5 months ago wouldn't have dared. I mean, this is a man who, instead of, finding a solution within the team last season, decided to put Shaka at left back, and that basically cost us the Europa League, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
because he was stubborn and he felt that he needed Shaka in the team, where most people would have thought, look, put Saka in there, then bring Pepe in the team, leave Shaka in midfield. I mean, if he did that, who knows what would have happened. But I think now he's more susceptible to change. He's willing to compromise on certain aspects of his plan when he sees it's not working, which is, I think, a level of growth from him, and which is what I like, basically. So, I mean, to answer your question, back to your question, Maitland Niles, I mean, we know what happened before the international break, and the fanfare behind all that. I think it's now another page that has been turned. He looks to be, I think, if I'm not wrong, I'm saying he's played in every game this season after the international break. I think he's played every game,
Yeah.
whether starting
I
or
think so.
from the bench. I mean, which is crazy, crazy good,
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're leaning into, he's got some interesting attributes which help us in certain games and certain phases of games. I think he's an important player to have in the squad. Is he going to now start bossing our midfield? I don't think so, but he's certainly a player who can help us, along the way.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to talk about the upcoming games. So I have just been looking at them here. There's Crystal Palace, that's next Monday, and then we've got Aston Villa, then we've got Leeds in the Carabao Cup, then Leicester, Watford before we play Liverpool. I forget about the Liverpool game. I want to talk about the next 4 games, at least in the Premier League. Those are games, I mean, 3 of those games are at home. The only game that's away is Leicester, and Leicester haven't had the best of starts. Where, I mean, could we see this as a place where we could get, a decent amount of points? I mean, what is the best way to ask this? Out of the 4 games, Crystal Palace at home, Villa at home, Leicester away, Watford at home. Those are 12 points, yes. How many out of 12 points, how many do you think we can get?
I think I would take 10 out of 12 again. What happened? I don't know, man.
Sorry, that was all
I
me.
think
Yeah, just go on, yeah.
I think I would take 10 out of 12 again. The only reason I say that is to be realistic, but ideally, those are the sort of games where we should take everything out of those games. I think Crystal Palace, I haven't really watched them under their new manager, Patrick Vieira, but they've had a bit of an upside down season. They've had some good games and some not so good games. Same with Aston Villa. Leicester City have just been bad. Watford have been, I think, also not quite good as well. So I expect the I would like the 12 out of 12 points, but I think 10 out of 12 would be fair given where we are right now as well.
Yeah, I think so as well. 10 out of 12 is really good. If we could win all of our home games, I think that would be very pleasing for me. I think we need to develop a sense of invincibility at the Emirates. We didn't have the greatest of records at home last season. We lost a
Mm,
number of games actually at the Emirates. So it's something that I think would be a priority for me, is that we need to make it a fortress again, make it a place where people get a bit scared to come, and you know that you're going to be in for a tough time. So yeah, I'd really like us to win our home games. I think Leicester away, I mean, we haven't done that well the last couple of seasons. Having said that, we did win there twice last year. But yeah, I mean, with the optimistic hat on, you'd say let's get all 12 points, but we know football isn't like that. But I think for me, we need to win the home games. If you win the home games, for
yeah,
me, I think that's the minimum. If you win the home games, I
yeah,
think I'd be okay with that.
definitely. And to your point with regards to the fortress, I think the fans in the stadium have been amazing so far this
Yeah,
season.
yeah, they've been really
I
good. I
think,
mean,
yeah,
it's
let's
been
hope they can get that energy into the team.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, it's been helping them so far. I mean, they've been talking about it
Mm,
in the press conferences before and after
mm.
the games. Arteta has been waxing lyrical about it as well, and it's something that he's been asking for since, I think, during the times of COVID,
Yeah,
when there were no.
he's had a very weird start to the to his coaching career,
Mm,
Mikel. I mean, he only got the first 2 months, I think. He came in towards the end of December, didn't he? And then he had uh, the break and then till March. And then from March, it was the COVID period where there were no fans. And it was only until the last, maybe it was the last game of last season that he started getting fans again, and even that was a limited number. And then now is when this season actually has been when he's had fans uh, to build a sort of connection with. He
mhm.
hasn't really had that, so it's been, I think, quite interesting. It's
Yeah,
been a very strange start.
would make for quite a book, I suppose.
Mm.
Um, Before we sign off, Ahmed, I just wanted to talk about the Premier League in general. How have you made of it so far? Uh, and I mean, which team has impressed you the most? I mean, which team would you laughing at, and why is it Spurs? And what's going on at the bottom of the table?
um, okay, I think Liverpool have been a good team. Chelsea, although I really, really don't like Chelsea, but they've been quite a good team this season. I think they're one of the more balanced sides, them and Liverpool. Uh, Man U has been funny to watch. I mean, they've had some good results, but as well, I don't know. They're just in shambles right now, I think. I don't know what they're doing. They have a really good team, so that's why they are where they are right now. They are fourth, but I really don't know what they're up to in that team. I think they could do a lot better given the team they have. Um, we are still middle of the table. I think given the games we have coming up, I think we could do better. Hoping we get to, how many points are we off the four, top six? Only 4 points.
Not a lot. Yeah,
So
there it is, four
yeah,
points.
yeah. So I think maybe we could look into getting ourselves up there. I think Everton will have some few shaky games. Let me see what they're doing. They have West Ham, Watford, Wolves, and the Spurs. Is it? Yeah, so they will definitely drop points. Brighton, I don't think they can sustain this throughout the season. So I'm expecting them to also drop a few points. Um, yeah, I definitely think we can rise up the table. And as for the bottom end of the table, I think oh, interesting. Newcastle. They've had an interesting development.
I
They've
mean, we might as
moved
well
by
just get
the
into it. What do you think about that?
uh, it's I don't know. I don't know what to think. We've had this before, right? I mean, we've had the Russian oligarch. We've had this Man City guys, the Emiratis, who are there. I mean, we already have this money influx. Newcastle, that's a next level kind of money with the Saudi wealth.
Mhm.
But I think as of right now, maybe we'll start seeing changes as of next season, and hopefully there's some checks and balances put in place. That's the hope. I don't expect them to go from this team that they are now to Man City within one transfer window or two.
I mean, it would be impossible, really. But I think what will happen, it would like take. I think the most important thing that they can do is getting the right people behind the
Mm,
team, the
mm,
the support staffs, sporting directors, the managers, the people who run the club. If they get that part right, then I
mm,
mean, the sky's the limit for them. But let's hope
mm.
they mess that up. But like, I think,
It is scary. I think it will change the status quo once again in the future.
yeah, I think for
But
Arsenal as well,
mm,
because I mean, the last time we embarked on a project was in 2006 when I mean, we just won the league. We just been in a Champions League final. Then we're like, let's like, and it was the season that we were moving into the Emirates. So we're like, at this point in time, we're just going to, get into a big stadium to generate more revenue. We
mm,
can, survive not winning the league. Maybe Man United will be taking it. Maybe we'll have a tilt one or two times. Maybe we might get the odd title there, but more or less is focusing on youth. And then Chelsea come along, and then you like have another challenge because at that point in time
yeah.
when the plans for the stadium came in, we it was only us and Man United. There was literally nobody else who was challenging for the title. And
Mm,
that's why, and then they were in a 75,000 capacity stadium. We were in a 33,000 capacity stadium. So, and at that point in time, there was nothing about like wealthy owners. There was nothing
yeah.
like we had seen like that. It was just about you as a club being able to generate your own revenue. Hence the
Mm,
idea of a 60,000 capacity stadium, the Emirates. And then Chelsea come in and then just ruin that. And then City come in as well.
City covered. Yeah. Exactly.
And it just makes the landscape more competitive. I mean, I was listening to another podcast. They're telling me Man City have been in the Champions League for the last 10 years consecutively.
Mm,
And that's ridiculous. It
yeah.
really is absolutely ridiculous because what you're doing is you're destabilizing, or destabilizing rather, but you're creating a gap between you and your competitors. I
Mm,
mean, everybody else, I mean, even Chelsea, they have been in and
mm,
out of the Champions League, but Man City are there
mm,
consistently. And whatever happens with Newcastle in the next 5 years or so, I mean, that could be the same as well. So you're
mm,
looking at basically two guaranteed Champions League positions going to teams. So the other six, or is it five teams, are going to fight for two positions. I mean,
mm.
it makes things a bit, I mean, it's competitive, yes, but there are people behind those clubs that want to be in the Champions League, and you know
Yeah.
hence the discussion about the Super League before.
Mm,
It's just, I don't know, it will be very interesting to see what happens, especially if, I mean, there were talks about not talks, but like suggestions by people that maybe the Champions League will add a position or two for the Premier League because the level of competitiveness is quite high here. Whether that will fly with the other leagues of
other
Europe, I don't
leagues.
know. I mean, but there is, let's not forget, after the World Cup, there's going to be a sort of a recalibration of the game.
Mm,
right? And I mean, with the new format of the Champions League starting in 2024, I mean, it could be at that point in time where Newcastle are certainly on the up. You know, I mean, United are always going to be there. Manchester City, of course, Chelsea, Arsenal. I mean, if the project is going well, will be up there as well. That's a lot of big teams who are not in the Champions League. So it's certainly something to look at, possibly the next 5 or 10 years.
It's quite destabilizing, is what it is, because I think the influx of money with the two teams you already mentioned already makes it hard to reach and meet them, because what can you do in the market? These guys spend 100 million on a single player.
Yeah.
And the previous season, they spent over 100 million on the three most top-rated players. That's Chelsea I'm talking about. Man City, on the other hand, spend 50 million per player on the whole defense, like 30 to 50 million. So, I mean, it's quite a challenge in that regard. So, if Newcastle are also unchecked in that sense, I think it's another team that we will have to contend with, given that we have. We generate our own revenue to use in our own, like, we use our own money, the one we generate, to go into the squad building and everything, as opposed to these guys who get the influx from their owners. So it's really going to be interesting and a challenge to see what happens, as you've said. I can't say I'm looking forward to it, but there we go.
Yeah, I mean, as well, at the bottom of the teams, I mean, there were people at the bottom of the league who were competitors of Newcastle. They're like, okay, he's gone now. I mean, we are now more in danger. So for them, it's like, that can't happen. So, I mean, it's chaos. It's destabilizing, as you said. And we'll just have to wait and see how this plays out. Hopefully, our trajectory is on the up, so it wouldn't matter as much what Newcastle do, but we'll be looking inwards and what we can do. I mean, what exactly, I think a great analog for what we can and should be aiming for is what Liverpool are doing, because they sort of run on the same model. They started out not with a lot of money. I mean, now they're spending, big money, but that's because they're winning, the big trophies, the big titles. So they're able to, the funding is coming from those winnings, not from, a rich owner. So I think that is something, I think we can mix it up, but we'll have to get there very quickly. I think we should leave it at that. This is something you do want to discuss before we sign off.
No, I think that's quite a good place to end with. Something to think about.
Yeah, food for thought, as we say. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. We really appreciate you guys listening to us. Don't forget to give us a follow on all various social media sites. It's been a pleasure having you here again. Hopefully we can keep these recordings coming over the next couple of weeks, and we will catch you after the next one. See you guys. Kwaheri.